Well, everyone, this is a first for me. The first double entry journal for the several years I've allowed people to do it, and then I give them feedback, and you learn by doing. Uh, and the biggest thing, my biggest critique and the downgrading of the double entry journal is usually people miss a lot of the big ideas, and they just whatever whatever passage meets their fancy, um, they comment on it, and almost everybody comments on this, the very first sentence, uh, and and they talk about how they used to highlight and they didn't know, blah blah blah, and that's okay. If you react to that and you talk about your own experience as a reader and as a highlighter, that's good. And I'm not saying you shouldn't react to that statement, but again, you make a personal connection to that, and that's exactly what I'm looking for. I'm looking for you to connect to your personal life, to your life as a learner, as a student, as a teacher, as a paraprofessional. Those are real life connections, and I expect you to make those. I also expect you to form opinions of things that are big ideas, like, and I'm going to go through that in this little piece here. I'm going to say, hey, these are the things that I think are the big ideas that you should react to. And on this first page, I think this statement right here is an important statement. Annotating is a writing to learn strategy. It's reading and then writing about it, which is very powerful. So I think that's a big idea. What kind of things do you annotate? Making predictions, asking questions, opinions. Okay, those are big. Opinions are big, and making connections are big. If you want to analyze the author's craft, that's not really what I'm looking for. The purpose of the DEJ is for you to tell me what you're getting out of it, and also for you to internalize it. So a lot of people do what I think Porter O'Donnell talks about it, and maybe she doesn't, but it's called fake reading. And it's very difficult to fake read in my course because you have to do a double entry journal. Now, what are some big mistakes in double entry journals? People saying, this is what I think the author is saying, and this is what I think the author is saying. Okay. That is one way to annotate, is to paraphrase what you're reading. That's not what I'm looking for. I know what the author is saying. I want to get your take on it. What does this mean to you? Anyway, so try to use that sparingly. So let's go through this again, and I've already told you a couple things I think are big ideas. This bookmark here, this is a figure. Many people skip the figures. Okay, there's 3 figures in this first reading piece you're going to do. The bookmark is one. This sample annotation on page 84. Most people skip it. They don't think it's a big deal. You should comment on it. What do you think of this annotation? What do you like about it, and what don't you like about it, or what do you think is good about it, or what do you think is bad about it? There's this last annotation most people skip, and this is easy to connect to. This dialectical journal. When Porter O'Donnell talks about alternatives to annotating when you can't write in the books. This is big. This is a big idea. Sticky notes, highlighter tape, dialectical journals. You need to react to that. All right. So going back, the whole process that she uses, the author uses, how do I teach students to do it? You don't have to comment on an individual sentence or an individual group of sentences. You can comment on a whole page if you want. And this is one area where you might want to do that. How does she teach her kids to do it, to annotate? And she does it through modeling and et cetera, et cetera. You'll see, but that's a big idea, how she teaches her students to do it. Then she goes, again, make sure you mention this, other ways to annotate. And then she talks about the benefits of annotating, which I mentioned in one of my presentations. Matter of fact, this is something I reacted to when I initially read this article. This is a big idea right here. And the last part is that she breaks the advantages of annotating down. Helps teach reading as a process, changes comprehension, slows down the reading, promotes more active reading, and helps improve writing. Okay, so those are all big ideas. She does it using kids' comments, that after they've gone through this process, this is what they've said, right? So you should react to each one of those areas. So again, people are always asking me how many pages should it be, and it reminds me of when I was growing up in writing. It was more important how much you wrote than what you wrote. You know, a 200-page essay or a 200-word essay. When we used to get punished in the 8th grade, we used to have to write 500-word essays. Well, what I'm looking for is, I say 2 annotations per page. That's a very, very general guideline just for those who need a lot of structure. I'm looking for you to comment on the big ideas. There may be more than 2 big ideas on a page. There may be only 1. Seldom is there none on a page. So the first DEJ is usually, and you'll see the sample ones that I have, is usually 2 to 2.5 pages long. The first one. Others are going to be longer. But this one, I wanted to give you what I think are the big ideas of the article. So using that, what I will do is you'll go into Blackboard, and this is what you will see. Rubric, quantity, quality, and you can see on this person's here, on Nikki's, I talk about the big ideas. You picked out some of the big ideas, but you skipped others. And so what I thought I'd do this semester is to give you what I think are the big ideas right up front. So then if you don't react to them, boom, I'm going to slam you. No, I'm not. I'm going to give you feedback. And this is where you'll find it when you click on your grades, my grades. You'll get feedback in a little box like this. And in the beginning, I get pretty extensive feedback. So you need to use it. So that's it on the first DEJ. As you can see, I'm editing this first DEJ video. I noticed that I hadn't updated it since 2012. So I am updating it because since that time I've added the 2 Tovani articles that I expect you to make at least 2 or 3 connections to, hopefully more, because the Porter O'Donnell article is very similar to what Tovani is saying in both of these articles. The first article is called The So What of Reading Comprehension. I think I've titled it Double Entry Journal. But I just want to, there's a couple of things in here. One of the things she mentions about using sticky notes, and that's on page, I believe it's page 85. How do I remember that? I don't know. the Porter O'Donnell, where she talks about other alternatives to annotating, and one of them is using sticky notes. Now, Tovani here uses sticky notes and got sick of all these banal, she calls them banal comments. And plus, I think sticky notes, they fall out of books. I know my wife uses them all the time, and I'd rather do a double entry journal type annotating. So, how does that connection help you understand the story better? She talks about students making connections to themselves to understand the story. He went beyond the words on the page and drew a fabulous connection. And I think that's what I'm hoping you folks will be able to do with your double entry journals, not just paraphrasing. Please don't paraphrase. Dr. Tom, that tells Dr. Tom nothing. I know what it says in all three of these articles. I want to know how it connects to you. Here she says, my job is about teaching kids how to read and think about text in meaningful ways. Yeah, I say that's a big idea. Here she gives some elements of comprehension instruction I think are important, especially these three I highlighted. Explicit modeling. Porter O'Donnell talks about modeling the DEJ process or the annotating process. Defining a purpose. That connects to the next article I'm going to talk about. And holding your thinking. This is what annotating does. Rather than going back and looking at highlighting and saying, oh, what the heck was I thinking there? Annotating lets you hold your thinking. So these are some things that I just highlighted. The Power of Purposeful Reading is another article by Tovani, who is still, Chris Tovani is a woman, by the way. And she talks about purposeful reading here. And one of the things I thought was interesting, and it seems like my computer it's not responding here, but she talks about, or she writes about, reading a chemistry text for the first time. And how did she get through that when nothing made sense? So she has her students come up with a purpose for reading. And if you go through this, you'll see that she says, come up with a fake purpose. And so she gives three fake purposes for reading. And it makes sense. If you have a focus for why you're reading something, you're reading these three articles to figure out how you can annotate your own, create your own double entry journal. So that's it. Obviously my computer is decided it didn't want me to go through this, so I won't. But I want you to make at least 2 or 3 connections to the 2 Tovani articles. So that's not 6 connections, but 2 or 3 connections to either or both, or whatever you think is good. So that's my edited portion of this